Hello, my name is Jamie Hoag, and I am very proud to be with you yet again for the second edition of my overview of voting in the age of COVID, the general election edition, as it may be. Um, I just want to thank you for all you do again for Project Place, for being a part of our family. I am proud to serve as a board member, and this place is very special. Project Place is very special because of you. So thank you again for all you do and all you mean to Project Place and to me. Um, so I'm going to go over the rules and provide some guidance for voting in the general election. In the last video, I talked about the primary election, which occurred on September 1st, so a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago actually. And this will be guidance for the November 3rd general election, which is coming up in 50 days from the date that I'm recording this video on September 14th. And so let's get started. So similar to the primary election, a new law in Massachusetts has expanded voting by mail, allowing all voters in the Commonwealth to vote by mail. Um, all voters can request a ballot sent to them by completing a vote by mail application. It's a ballot application, which I'll show you an example of in the following slide. Um, so everyone can vote by mail, have a ballot mailed to you, but you can also still vote in person. That's an option that some people still, you can still take advantage of, but you're also allowed because of COVID to vote by mail. So this is the big picture overview as the slide says. So November 3rd is the general election. The main contest, the main election on November 3rd is the race for the White House, the presidential election between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. I'm sure you've heard about it. It's been a little bit in the news lately. Um, but you have to be registered to vote, and you must be registered to vote by October 24th at 8 p.m. And there are several ways to do this to register to vote. You can register online at the website that's listed on this slide. Hopefully, someone can Project Place and email it to you if you don't have access to it. Um, but you need a state ID to register online. You could also on this website update your information. So if you've already registered but need to update some information, you can do that here. Um, but if you don't want to register online, you can register by paper, by a form, by filling out a form, and mailing it or delivering it to City Hall. I'll make sure that I know Project Place told me that they would make sure that everyone has a copy of the form, so we'll make sure that it's emailed to you. But you must don't forget you have to be registered to vote by October 24th at 8 p.m. to vote in the November 3rd presidential election. Now, as I mentioned, everyone, because of COVID and the new law passed in Massachusetts, is allowed to vote by mail. Uh, you have to apply to receive a mail-in ballot. So in order to receive get a ballot mailed to you, you must apply for one. And here's a copy of the application that you can fill out. It's available online, um, and we can get those forms to you as well. If you've applied for a ballot in the primary election, so in my last video I talked about the same process, applying to receive a vote by mail ballot sent to you. If you've applied, likely you're already all set for the general election too, because if you've applied on the form in September, it asked you if you want to receive a ballot for the general election too. If you selected both ballots, both elections, you're all set. If you did not, you have to apply for one again, and this is the form you would fill out. You could also, for the general election, unlike the primary election, you can apply online. There's an online form that you just fill out. It's a portal that you can fill out and hit send, and you can apply for a ballot that way. I don't have the link to it because the online portal is not available yet. It's supposed to be completed by October 1st. So if you're watching this video after October 1st, it is likely up and running, and I'll make sure you get the link to that sent to you. So if you haven't applied yet, you can apply through that online portal after October 1st. Now, the deadline to apply for a ballot for the general election is October 28th at 5 p.m. So you still have plenty of time to apply for a ballot, but don't wait. If you haven't applied for one already, you should do it right away. But there are several ways to do it again: by filling out this form and mailing it or delivering it to City Hall, by applying online at that online web portal that I mentioned that is yet to be set up but will be set up by October 1st. We'll get you that link when it's ready. And the due date is October 28th at 5 p.m. So casting a vote by mail ballot. Ballots will be mailed to all voters throughout throughout October, excuse me. I'm thinking of the primary election. So ballots will be mailed to voters throughout October. So starting in a few weeks, they'll start sending out the ballots. And voters can return, just like in the primary election, if you watch the primary election video, or if you voted by mail in the primary, voters can return ballots by mail in the postage prepaid envelope provided. So it's simple. Ballots will be mailed to you. They come in an envelope that has postage prepaid. You fill out the ballot, put it in the envelope, and send it back to the U.S. Postal Service. Ballots can also be hand delivered to the clerk's office in City Hall, or yeah, voter or the clerk's office in City Hall, or at the drop box located in City Hall. So there are two ways again to return it. Ballots must be you can drop the ballot in the mail with the postage prepaid envelope, or you can hand deliver the ballots to the clerk's office at City Hall. Now this is a very important fact. This is a little bit different than the primary election. Ballots must be mailed on or by November 3rd. So you must mail your ballot by on or by November 3rd, which is election day, and it must be received by the clerk by 5 p.m. on November 6th. So this is new. In the primary election, you might remember that ballots had to be received by the clerk by election day, September 1st, primary election day. But for the general election, for the presidential election, you only have to drop the ballot in the mail by November 3rd. As long as it gets to the clerk's office by November 6th at 5 p.m., it will be counted. So you have a little extra time there to get your ballot delivered in the hands of the local election official. Voting in person, as I mentioned, you still have an option to vote in person. Voting by mail is not for everyone. Some people like to vote in person, and so there are options for you. There's an early in-person voting period. So from October 17th to the 30th, so about 2 weeks, you have early voting in person. And then there's election day voting on November 3rd, and I'll go through those together. So October, early in-person voting. So really just starting in about a month from the date that I'm filming this video, you can start voting in the general election. October 17th, runs to the 30th of October, and it's including the weekends of the 17th and 18th and 24th and 25th. Um, Business hours during the week and weekend hours are available, and they vary. So the best way to find out wherever you live, if you live in Boston, you can find out on this website, or anywhere in Massachusetts, you can use this website, www.massearlyvote.com, and find out where your early voting locations are and what the hours are. But again, you can vote for over a 2 week period, early voting period starting on October 17th and going through the end of the month, including the weekends. So very convenient, many options to vote, no excuse not to. That's my little lecture, but I think it's true. This election is important. All elections are important. This one is especially important. So I think it's good that you have options to vote and some flexibility in how to be able to vote. Last but not least, for those of you who want to wait to the last minute to vote on Election Day, November 3rd, polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, polling locations may change because of COVID. And if, for example, you typically voted at a senior center, I would check to make sure that polling location is still going to be open because of the fact that uh, it's because of the vulnerability of a senior community, for example, they might have changed the polling location. So I would check to make sure that your polling location that you voted in the past is still the voting location that you'll use on November 3rd. And you can check the local clerk's website for those locations. I'm happy to help you with that. Some people at Project Place are more than happy as well. So the final slide is an overview slide, just to go over some of the material that I presented thus far. You must complete your vote by mail ballot applications by October 28th at 5 p.m. You can apply both in paper form and using the online portal that's going to be established and set up by October 1st. We'll get you that link. We'll get you all these links and all this information. Ballots will be mailed to voters, that should say in early October. I promise. I apologize. The slide is left over from my last presentation. So ballots will be mailed to voters starting in early October. It's an ongoing process, depending on when you applied. And when you cast your ballot by mail, you have to drop it back in the mail by or on November 3rd, and so that it's received by the local election official by November 6th at 5 p.m. And finally, once again, about you do have options to vote in person. Early in person, October 17th to the 30th, including the weekend, so very convenient. And election day, voting November 3rd, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that's my presentation. I really just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about how you can vote. I think voting is one of the most important things we can do in our country and in our participation with the civic process. And I just want to thank you again for allowing me to chat with you about how to vote this year. And if you have any questions, my email is available to you. It's the Project Play staff have it, and I'm more than happy to take questions, and they will provide you with all the forms and all the email addresses or website addresses that I mentioned today. So thank you again for all you do for Project Place, and look forward to seeing you at Project Place sometime soon.